The Plants vs Zombies series has come a long way from its inception as a fun and simple tower defense game, but ever since EA bought developers PopCap, the series has slowly started moving into the shooter scene with the highly regarded Garden Warfare series. The game's latest entry in the series is Battle for Neighborville, which launched all the way back in 2019 on the PS4 and Xbox One, and saw decent success with a load of post-launch content, but now the game has come to Switch in its complete form with all its DLC. So let's jump in, shall we? Starting off with the game's story, and while there isn't really any, it just sees the endless struggles between the plants versus the zombies. Typically, the zombies are after brains, but the humans have employed plants to stop the pesky undead horde. There isn't really much here for a story, even in the game's single player mode, there's just a few humorous cutscenes here and there. It's a sort of rabid style of humour, so some folks may not be that keen on it. The single player mode stuff sees you enter in a few different open areas, playing as either the plants or the zombies. Here you're free to explore these areas and complete missions. Most of these missions are your standard fare, you go here, shoot that, and learn the basics of the gameplay and multiplayer. There's a good amount of quests to complete for each campaign, there's also a load of collectibles in each area to nab if you want to. Overall, there's a good 10 to 15 hours worth of gameplay here, and for the most part it's really enjoyable and does give you the basics on how to get on with online multiplayer. Battle for Neighborville plays very much like your typical hero shooter. Each team has a selection of characters to play as, and each character has their own personality and special abilities to set them apart. Many of the characters are split into different roles such as attack, defense and support. Each character has their own strengths and weaknesses. For example, you have the foot soldier zombie that does a decent range attack, but isn't that great when under increased fire from enemy team. There's also the 80s action hero, which is essentially a sniper who has some very powerful attacks, but you gotta be really accurate with your shots. Progression for each character is separate. Every time you level up your character, you can promote them to gain new abilities. Each character has several different skill points, and you can equip different perks to each character, such as extra health, defense, boost to attack when in low health, so on and so forth. There's plenty of tweaking to be done here to get the right setup for each character, and it's pretty great to experiment with. It's also astounding how much there is here to unlock. Seeing the original release of Battle for Neighborville, we had the usual microtransaction and battle passes sort of guff, but thankfully this Switch release has ditched all this greed for a much better progression system that constantly rewards you. There's in-game currency here and it's incredibly generous, giving you thousands of coins to buy loads of stuff instantly, and throughout the whole game you do get a fair amount of coins and it doesn't feel unfair whatsoever. The game's main draw here is its multiplayer, and this is where players will mostly spend their time with the game, as the game has a decent selection of modes such as Team Deathmatch, a fun take on Call of Duty's Kill Confirmed, Capture the Flag, and Control Points. It's all your typical modes you find in various other shooters, and it can be played in both local against bots or online with friends or strangers, and thankfully the netcode is great, and you do get into a match quite quickly. There's plenty of content, fun character classes and fast gameplay here, as there's a lot to keep you coming back for more. On to the presentation stuff now, and Battle for Neighborville is a pretty interesting showcase, as it's one of the first games on the Switch to actually be running on the EA ever popular Frostbite engine. The game and its cartoon-like art style and characters look really rather good on the Switch. The resolution while stocked is 900p, and in handheld it's a dynamic 720p. The game looks quite nice in both gameplay styles, though the handheld mode has a few rough edges due to the dynamic res. As for the frame rate, on other consoles the game runs at 60 FPS, but on the Switch the frame rate has been cut in half to 30. Now the 30 FPS lock is a bit of a mixed bag. For the most part it does stick to that 30 FPS lock, but there is a few instances where the frame rate does drop to 20 to 25 FPS, and it can hamper your shooting and make you miss a few shots. Hopefully a couple of patches will improve the frame rate, but as it is a bit of a mixed bag, especially when going online. Conclusion time now, and Plants vs Zombies Battle for Neighborville is a very fun and content-rich, family-friendly shooter that's rich with content. Battle for Neighborville is a great multiplayer alternative for Splatoon players, delivering plenty of in-depth and customization options. The single-player content is also lengthy with plenty of fun moments. It's also great to see that there's no microtransactions whatsoever, which is awesome. The performance is a little bit iffy, but Battle for Neighborville is still a very impressive Switch port. So with that, I'm giving Plants vs Zombies Battle for Neighborville on the Switch an 8.5 out of 10 with a title of great. As always, thank you for watching my review. I hope you enjoyed it. If you could like and subscribe, and until next time, happy gaming. Bye.